Okay, so very good morning and welcome you to another lecture on particle kinetics. In this lecture and maybe in the next lecture as well, we'll be talking about a very interesting topic of dealing with space mechanics. And we will see that how actually it can be derived, and it can be all these things can be done using the Newton's laws of motion. However, the space mechanics was one of the very interesting and a thing that scientists have been working upon, and even much before Newton, these concepts were already proposed, and that I'll be talking about it maybe in the last part of this topic. So so we talked about linear momentum, and then so it starts with the concept of defining the angular momentum. So as you might already know, angular momentum is defined by r cross the linear momentum, r cross uh, L, right? So if we say the linear momentum as L, so it is r cross mv, the angular momentum, which is called as moment of momentum, right? So the basic idea is that this h naught vector is perpendicular to the plane containing r and mv vector. So if it is a cross product between r and mv, then h naught is the angular momentum vector is perpendicular to both of these things, and it has to be the direction has to be calculated using the right hand rule. The magnitude is given by Rmv times sine phi. If phi is the angle between r vector and mv vector, then you have the sine phi. That's the magnitude. V sine phi is nothing but your v theta. So the velocity in the transverse direction or the angular direction is your v theta, which is same as r phi. So we can also say angular momentum as r times mv theta, right? So v theta is the velocity in the angular direction, and if this r vector is rotating with a theta dot velocity, then v theta we know. So we know that v vector is equal to v theta e theta cap plus vr er cap, and the general expression is r theta dot e theta cap plus r dot into er cap. So this is the general expression that we have seen from particle kinematics, and this part is substituted here to get your angular momentum magnitude, which is mr square theta dot. This is in polar coordinates. If you want to write things in Cartesian coordinates, then this is the matrix by which we can write the angular momentum vector. It's a cross product of r vector and mv vector. It's straightforward. Now, if we differentiate this, let me. Now, if I differentiate this expression, I think let me go to this one. Okay, so I hope you can see my screen, OneNote screen. So we have defined the h vector about a point O as r vector cross mv vector. That's the angular momentum that we have defined of a particle about a point O, right? So if this is a particle which is moving in some direction. So this is V. Now, if I take a derivative of this equation, d by dt of h naught, this thing. So this is going to be your v vector cross mv vector plus r vector cross ma vector, right? So h naught dot is equal to now this is v vector cross mv vector. So this and this are in same direction. The cross product is going to be 0. So this terms is 0, and what we get is this term r cross, and this ma vector is your force F. So this is a very important expression that we have derived, which is nothing but your moment about the point O. So from the Newton's laws, we have, after that we wrote the expression of angular momentum, and after taking a derivative of angular momentum with respect to time, we get this very important equation which says that the rate of change of angular momentum is equal to the net moment applied on the system about point O. Right? And right now we are talking about particles, so let's not get confused. So this is this is a very important equation. Now, let's get straight to the topics of space mechanics, and the first term or first important definition in space mechanics is what is called as central force. So central force means the particle is acted by only one force, only one force directed towards a fixed point. Let's say point O. In fact, is acted by, it's not necessary that only one is required, but the net force, the particle is acted by force directed towards a fixed point O. So let's say we have got a particle, and if the force on this particle is always directed towards a fixed point O, then the motion of this particle can be anything, and what we say that this particle is under the central force. So that's the idea, and in space that is what we are going to deal with. So for example, if we have got a planet, and I mean Earth or some planet, and we are talking about some satellite moving around that thing, then at any instant the force is always going towards the center fixed point O. So this is our fixed point O. Again, we are assuming that it is fixed, although this also can be moving, but for the time being, particularly for analysis of system, again we are neglecting that there are other planets, there is sun, there are so many things, but we are assuming that this satellite is closer to Earth, and therefore we are neglecting the forces from other planets or sun and so on. So if we are considering just this thing, then the force is acting towards the center and this system falls in the category of central force system, right? So force is always directed towards a point O. That's the idea. Now, if such a thing exists, it happens, then what happens? Then moment about point O turns out to be 0, right? Because if this force is always acting towards the center, when we say the moment of this force, it is r cross f vector. And since both r vector and f vector are collinear, therefore the r cross f is 0 and moment is 0. If moment is 0, then this equation says that the rate of change of angular momentum is equal to moment about that point. And if this is equal to 0, it implies that the angular momentum about the point O is constant. Very important result again. So the angular momentum of the particle moving in this trajectory is constant. And by the way, this is a vector. I forgot to mention this. This vector is a constant. It means that its magnitude is going to be the same and the direction is going to be the same. The direction is also not going to change. So one very important conclusion, if the direction of h naught bar is same or constant, it means that the particle is moving in a fixed plane. And this plane is perpendicular to the h naught bar. What it means that if, let us say, at a particular instant, this is the mv and this is the r vector, then the r cross mv vector will be, in a direction something like this. So this is the direction of h naught bar. So if there is no, there is only central force acting here, so h naught vector is going to be constant. It means that this particle has to move in a plane. It cannot move out of the plane. Because if it moves out of the plane, or if it, r, so the plane is the plane containing r vector and mv vector. So the particle will always move in a fixed plane only, and that is why all the orbits and so on, although they might be at an inclined plane, but they are in a fixed plane, right? And that plane depends upon your r vector and mv vector. And particularly if you are, let's say, launching a satellite and so on, then the initial condition of r vector and mv vector will determine what is that plane, and then the particle will keep on moving in that particular plane only based on the expressions that we have derived. Okay, that is one important conclusion. The second conclusion is about the magnitude of h naught has to be same. So if this magnitude is same, then let us something like this. Okay. So let us say at initial, let's say initial position r naught, it has got a velocity of v naught and there is an angle of phi naught. At another instant, it has got a vector r vector, velocity v vector, and the corresponding angle between r and v vector is phi vector. So what it says that the magnitude of angular momentum is conserved. And if I just write a simple term for m naught or mv naught times r naught times sine phi naught. So this is the magnitude of angular momentum from this diagram. We can see for instant, the initial instant, and this should be same as your r times mv times sine phi. So this is one expression that we can write that this angular momentum will be conserved. And likewise, if I use the other expression of angular momentum where we said that this is equal to in polar coordinates it becomes mr into theta dot. So if I talk about polar coordinates, this is your v theta. So it is r cross mv theta, and this becomes your m times r square theta dot, and this is equal to constant. If I divide this expression by mass m, so what we get is angular momentum per unit mass. So if I say angular momentum per unit mass, which is capital H by small m, and if we call this as small h, so this becomes your r square theta dot, and this is going to be constant. Again, a very important expression. So this is your small h is angular momentum per unit mass. So I have divided this by mass of the particle which is rotating, and this is equal to r square times theta dot, and this is constant. So what it means that if this is, let's say, our planet and we have got a satellite, and let's say it is moving something like this. So if r is small, let's say if this is r1 or r0 and r1. So if r is small, then the theta dot is going to be large. So here your theta dot is going to be a larger value, and here the corresponding theta dot is going to be less, it's going to be small. So therefore, when particle or the satellite moves in this region, it is going to move very fast, and when it goes away from the the sun or planet, I mean the central mass, the farther it goes away, it will become slower and slower. It will slow down, and that's how the this whole thing is going to move. And that's what it happens. Another good way to look at the same thing is if we consider a small area swept here, right? So if this particle is moving and this is the origin O, and if so this is the radius r, in a small instant of time it has moved by a small distance, let's say delta d theta. So if we calculate the area swept uh, by this path of the particle, and if I call as dA, so this area, small area, can be approximated as a small triangle, and I can write its area as half base into height. So r times r d theta. So that is the approximation for this thing, area swept. And again, this is an approximation. And now if I divide this by dt, so this becomes your half r square d theta by dt. So this rate of change of area, or the rate at which area is changing, is called by a new term called as areal velocity. So the planet or the we are analyzing the motion of a satellite. So this satellite is moving, and this areal velocity, the rate of change of area, is given by half r square theta dot, and which is nothing but your h by 2. So r square theta dot we have seen is equal to small h, which is your angular momentum per unit mass. So therefore this aerial velocity is h by 2, which is again constant. So another important expression or that we can write here is that particle width particle not width, particle in central force moves with constant aerial velocity. Means the rate of change of area covered, that is constant. And again, same thing can be expressed here as well. So if a particle is moving here, the area covered because the because the radius is small, so the in same interval of time, if we consider at a far off distance, it will cover less theta, so that the area covered is same in same interval of time. And here it is, so here you can see the closer it gets to the central planet or sun, the faster it moves. So here its angular velocity in this region is going to be large, so that it covers the same amount of area compared to the same satellite which is moving far away from the planet. And again, in same time, it has to cover the same amount of area, right? So that's the idea, that the aerial velocity is same, and therefore here it moves fast and here it moves slowly. The satellite moves slowly. Okay. So I hope you can again see my PowerPoint presentation. And so this is what we have seen, central force, right? So I'll go it quickly. And this is what we have derived, that the angular momentum per unit mass has to be constant. This is the aerial velocity, which has to be constant. Okay, the next thing comes is about Newton's laws of gravitation. Again, you might have studied it. So the force exerted by sun or on a planet, or by Earth on a satellite, all these things can be modeled by using the Newton's laws of gravitation. So it is a universal law, means valid for any two particles, just that it is not so clearly visible until one of the mass is very, very large. So, but any two mass, they attract each other with an equal and opposite force directed along the line joining the two particles, and the expression is given by G capital M small m by r square. The constant G is this expression. And so if we are talking about a particle of mass on close to the Earth's surface, then this expression is represented by small g, mg by r square, and this mg is the force by which the Earth attracts any object close to the surface of Earth, is called as the weight of that particle, and it's given by mg, right? So okay, so these are some basic things to start some more. Let me see the attendance. I think we'll stop this lecture here. There are some more topics which we'll cover in the next class.